and welcome to the Fat Squirrel Speaks. Today is Tuesday, June 12th, and this is episode 112. That's a thing. Right. Sure. I guess it'd be better if it was episode 612. Oh, come on, I'm not a machine, people. The camera's crooked. Sorry, is that better? I believe it's a little better. We'll go with it. I'm Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry and the Fat Squirrel SQRRL on Instagram. Hi, how are you? If you're a new viewer, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, I kiss your face. I think of my grandmother every time I say that. I just want to kiss your face off. I just want to kiss you to pieces. That's what she says. She's so cute. I totally sent her, do you remember, if you're a viewer, I made a foolproof, you know, the cowl that's garter stitch, and I made it in Lovely Sadie of the Yarnivore podcast and Knitter's Nightmare Yarn. What is that behind me? Sorry, there's like fabric and interfacing back there. I apologize. So I was actually gonna make it for my friend, then I was like, this is too fancy for my friend. My friend would be like, what is this? And so I sent it to my grandmother, who's very fancy. And so she called me to say thank you, and she's like, now what do you call this? I said, well, some people call it an infinity scarf. Some people call it a cowl. It's up to you. She's like, and how exactly would I wear this? Because of course, heaven forbid she do it incorrectly. We can't have that. So I explained to her, you can just wear it once, like it's like just one long loop, like it's a necklace almost, or you can just loop it a couple times. I said, really? I just made it. I thought it would be cute. You could just wear it on the porch when you're watching the birds. Because my grandmother has rheumatoid arthritis and she's always cold. Like, always. So I figured it's June. She's got a sweater on. So you can just wear it on the porch in the spring and the summer and these cute little neckwear. And she's like, oh no. This is the only bad thing about giving presents to my grandmother. She gets extremely excited about them, but will never use them because they're too fancy. I made her dishcloths once when I was still in college. And I made them like the round, like they were round, and they were like scalloped on the edges. And they were made with some cotton. It was not like dishcloth cotton because I didn't have access to that when there were no big box stores where I went to school. And so it was like decent, nice cotton, you know, that you could make a garment with. And it was in like periwinkle and mint green, and it was like those kind of tones. I still don't think she's ever used them. Because she didn't want to mess them up. So she says, oh no, I think I need to get a fancy red dress and wear this. And I'm like, in my head, where are you going to go in a fancy red dress, Mama? Whatever, she's so cute I could die. She turned 80. Don't tell her I told you. She's so cute. Anywho, what was I talking about? Okay, in this episode, I'm just gonna start over. In this episode, we'll have knitting and spinning, and we'll have spinning, and then we'll have knitting. But first, before those things, we'll have a giveaway. And then I think I'll do shenanigans at the end, because they're gonna be shenanigans in which I prove to be a prude, and if you would prefer not to think of me that way, you can just turn it off. I'm getting so old. Anyway, let's do our giveaway first. The lovely Annie Knit Lights of Little Skein in the Big Wool has given away one of her bags. Isn't that generous? From her kit. If you don't know this, she's doing very darling kits about different storybooks, so this was one of the installments. So much I love you. So it's very cute. It's one of the ones with the cord lock. It has a lovely little, like, a carabiner access port. This is happiness. Carabiner access port. I may have been looking at the Cabela's catalog for too long. And there's some little moon happiness lining. Isn't that cute? So you get one, but yours is all pristine-y style still. I did not mar your pristine, cute packaging with the baker's twine. Baker's twine, you got me. That's all there is to it. I don't think I've ever gotten a baked good that had baker's twine involved, but I still enjoy it very much. What is that about, by the way? Anyhow, moving on. We have one to give away. So if you did not know about this contest, you should definitely go over and look at the prize thread because it has a babillion suggestions of cool and awesome storybooks that you should look at. Let me just discuss. Not only was I excited to see some that I remembered, like, oh my gosh, I totally remember that one, which is so fun. But then it was so many that I was like, I never even heard of that one. We must go investigate. So it was very exciting. So if you know a little person or you know a person with a little person, I highly recommend that prize thread. Okay, we have 597 entries. Ba-bam. That's right. That's a lot of entries. And we're doing it live. So 2 through 597, we are on random.org. Generate. Our prize number is 339. That's not, that math is going to be bad. I'm not, okay, feel free to mock me. I'll tell you why you can mock me. It's filler. I do have a bachelor's degree in mathematics, but I am quite terrible at what we would call basic math. Actually, I'm not terrible because I'm a lot better than a lot of people, but I'm not as good as perhaps one would assume I would be. Okay, we are on page number 14. I didn't know that right off. I had to do a couple. Don't judge me. Okay, 339 is Knitting Bell. Knitting Bell. Let's see what your name is, Knitting Bell. Knitting Bell. Why is my computer Vicky from Kentucky? Oh my gosh! I know, right? It's a state next to mine. The odds are not that crazy that it wouldn't be, but I'm so excited. Kentucky. And she suggested The Quilt Maker's Gift, which I have never read, but looks like something that a lot of us would find charming. How cool is that? So yay! Just give me a PM, Vicky, with your actual human name, which the postal carrier knows, and your receiving address, and I will get that out to you. Yay. Okay, now that's done. Let's move on. Okay, spinning! I have a finished spinning object. That's right. But I don't know how much it weighs. Oops, I don't know where my thing is. I finished my loop bat! My loop bullseye bump, excuse me. My loop bullseye bump. It is in the colorway Curry. It is one of her newer ones that has the shorter color progressions. She has one, the traditional ones have very long color progressions, but this one has much shorter ones. They are still, I don't know, I'm just curious to see how it's going to knit up. It's going to be fascinating. I did mine just as a single ply because, well, I thought the color repeats were too short to chain ply it unless I wanted to spin it super fine, which did not sound charming. But I did want to keep the colors together. I think it would have been fine actually to do it as a 2-ply, but I just didn't know in the moment, you know? And I really sometimes just want to preserve the bumpiness of the bump, you know what I mean? That made no sense, but the color bump of the bump. Yeah, right. So, I have, what did I say? I think I have something like, oh, I have 750 yards of what is like a light fingering weight. And I believe this one was like 5.6 ounces. I could be wrong. But I think they were both, I got two at the same time. I think they were both in the same ballpark of weight, and it was around 6 ounces. So I'm very pleased with it. I'm so excited to see what's going to happen. So this is a single. I did not full it because I had enough twist in it that I did not think it was necessary at all. But I think, I haven't decided. I really want to make something with this, like el pronto. That's not a word. Very quickly. But I can't decide what to make. I have decided, I think I've narrowed it down to 3 items. Do you even care about this? I'm just going to pretend that you do. So I'm going to pretend that you care about this, and I'm going to tell you the 3 things I think I might make with this, and why I have decided maybe to try one. Okay, let's go to my library. Okay, so the first thing I decided I wanted to make with it was the bias before and after scarf. It is quite lovely. It is patterned by Church Mouse Yarns and Tees, and it looks a little something like this. Right? Very simple stockinette. It's a bias scarf. I want it to be light and airy. It's what I was thinking that I wanted. However, the reason I think I'm not going to make this one is because I'm still working on my Viajange, and that thing is taking forever. And so the thought of having like another plain stockinette, this one is not nearly as many yards. Again, it's like 750. The Viajange is like twice that, basically. So, I mean, it would be a much smaller project, but still, with that still on the needles, I feel like I can't, like, that's not a good idea. I need to back off. So that was choice number one. I'm not saying that I'm not doing any of these 3 patterns. I'm just saying I think I'm doing one of them. Oh, and by the way, did you know about this? You probably do know about this. I'm often late to the party. This may have actually all been around forever and I just never noticed it, but I can't believe I wouldn't have noticed it. Once you go into the projects, like to view all the different projects, did you know there's a thing down there now to look at all of the hand spun projects? Like you can just click on that. And it gives you all the projects that are done in hand spun. Brilliant. Ravelry, we owe you such a debt. It's true. I did try to like mega this app, like this thing, like mega it, whatever. I tried to go a little too crazy with it. I did try to just search, for example, under fingering weight, a certain yardage, and accessories, and then just, you know, you can click on the patterns tab and it'll show you all, like not just by pattern, but by actual people's projects. Did I say patterns tab? I meant projects tab. So you can click on that and look at all the projects that are with fingering weight, 450 to 700 yards, accessories. So I tried to do that and then see if the hand spun thing was at the bottom, because that would be amazing, right? You could see all of the hand spun projects within like the rough parameters you want. They don't have that yet. Or maybe they never will. But that would be awesome. But anyways, I was so excited about that feature. I didn't even know it existed. I'm sure you figured it out already. You're so clever. You're still here. I love your faces. Thanks. Okay, so that was the first one. Okay, then it started to get a little crazy. Okay, just a little crazy. So then I decided that definitely I would like, I wanted something with a shorter row. Like I did not want to do a cowl with like a 300 stitch cast on, because I did kind of want to try to preserve, again, the bullseye bumpiness of it. I wanted to try to preserve those little small nuggets of color. Sometimes you get in the tidal pool. It just keeps sucking you down. So the next thing I thought I would make is the apostrophe, which is by Rosemary Hill. And it looks something like this. Really? I still am intrigued by this. I'm not sure why. I would really like the thought of doing any one of the drop stitch things also was very appealing. However, with a single, I know that I'm too klutzy and I will catch that on something and it will rip and then it will be. So this one is actually knit. It's garter stitched little diamonds, and then you cleverly, like, they're not knit individually. Well, they're knit individually, but they're all, it's like entrelacy. Like it's all joined together, not like sewing these little things together. Because that would be crazy. But I was totally intrigued by this for some reason. I don't know. I may have been drinking. I'm not sure. But I still like it. I don't know. Maybe I'll make it one day. But so this is another option. Because again, I thought each one of those little diamonds would be like its own color of gold, and how fun would that be? That would be very fun. If you're not sure, it would be, trust me. I don't lie about these things. Okay, so then... And really, there's a progression of insanity. I'm going to admit that right now. Like, these projects get crazier as they go. Here's what I think I'm going to make now. I think I'm going to make the Garbo by Nancy Drew. I'm not even kidding. Her name is Nancy Drew, people. I'm not lying. I wouldn't lie to you. It looks like this. It's crocheted! What? I'm not even kidding you. It's totally crocheted. For some reason, I am very enchanted by this, like, I don't know if you can really see the pattern as well. It looks very graphic, architectural, something to me, and I am very drawn to it. It is also just a giant rectangle, but it's crochet, so it won't be boring, right? Because I'll still be like, what am I doing? I can't decide. I'm going to try this, and then if it looks horrific, I will stop. I did do a sample. I bought all 3 of these patterns, by the way. Right? I'm supporting my community. Don't judge. I'm also crazy. So I did do a sample of this just to see like if I could even do it, because I don't know if you know this, I don't crochet at all. Not that I'm anti-crochet, I just don't do it very often. Like I feel like I can't really do it very effectively. I've tried to do several like kitchen-y kind of projects where they're just basically rectangles, and I always mess up. Like they always turn into wedges, or I have to be very careful. But this is one of those ones where you're not necessarily knitting into the stitch, you're knitting into like chains, or knitting into like a chain loopiness. And so it's much less concerning to me. I did a sample, it worked out. I know, it's crazy, right? I'm nuts. I can't decide. I think I'm gonna try this though. That was a lot of me talking about a project that I'm not even starting yet, but there you go. It's an insight into my mind, people. You're like, no, I didn't want to. You're on Ride the Snake. Ride the Snake. That must be one of the most underappreciated Will Ferrell sketches ever on Saturday Night Live. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're not alone. Because really, it seems like nobody has heard of this one. But if you know what I'm talking about, right? It's brilliant. It involves like methamphetamine as a diet pill and Will Ferrell as the Willie Mays thereof. It's alive. It's awesome. There might be blood shooting out somebody's eyes by the end. Just saying. Ride the snake. Next thing. Really? Okay, spinning works in progress. I have this lovely fiber from the Fiberista Files. No. Heather of Highland Handmaids. That's her businessy name. She has the Fiberista Files podcast. Heather of Highland Handmaids. Is that right? It's Heather of Highland Handmaids, but now I'm the Fiberista Files. I'm like getting all, because I'm confused. But so this was her last year. I got this last year. No, I didn't get it at SSK. I missed it at SSK, but I got it afterwards. This is her SSKers for the win. And I believe this is Polworth. Right, I don't know what I'm doing. So this is the last of the 4 ounces. Just doing a plain old 2-ply, but it's very enjoyable. Heather does a wonderful job. It's always a joy. Always a joy. So there's that. Okay, now let's talk about knitting. I finished objects! Okay, my first finished object is my, not really pattern socks. These are in Manos del Uruguay. And I told myself I was going to look up for sure how to pronounce that instead of just pretending that the Latin studies majors and not when I went to school knew what they were talking about. Which they probably didn't. Anyway, it's Manos. And this is the, I said it wrong last time. But I think if I remember now, it is the Allegria base. It's their sock base. And I believe this is something like Piedra or Piedro. It's not Piedro, but it's something with a P. I'll have it in the show notes. I thought I had the tag. Don't judge. It's 6 days early, technically. Anyway. So it is just a 4 in stockinette, 2 in the Skype. Okay. And I really like it. I think they're super fun. I really enjoyed this yarn a lot. I'm not typically into pooling, but I dig these socks. I got them from Simply Sock Yarn when I went to see Yarn Harlot. They're lovely. So I'm excited about that. And then I also finished another object. This is my Gladys Okay, that's exciting for you. This is my Gladys hat, which is by a human. I don't know. Come on, device. Okay, it's the Gladys hat by Melissa Labar. Looks like that. The pattern itself has a folded brim. I did not do the folded brim. I'm just not into that. But look at it. Bam. All right, and now I look like I need to be wearing it. It feels good to be a gangster t-shirt, right? So this is yarn from the Knitting Boutique. It was gifted to me by the lovely Jamie. Thank you, Jamie. It is the Potomac base. It is 40% baby camel, 40% merino, and 20% silk. Equals unicorns. It's so soft. I really debated about drawing the project out for another week because it's just so gorgeous to knit with. That's how enjoyable it is. That's all I'm saying. So yay that! Thank you, Jamie. So I have to say, I think I did everything else. I did everything else as written. I just did not work the folded brim. Because I don't really wear hats necessarily for excessive amounts of warmth, which is what the folded brim would give you. I just wear them to be fancy. Also for a little bit of warmth. Not wearing fake glasses. These are real. Blind people. And it's in my bag. Speaking of storybook stuff, it's in my bag from the lovely Tangerine Designs. Yay! The little old lady was whispering, hush! That's gonna be me. That's right, that's where I got it. What do you do? Okay, knitting works in progress. I talked a little bit about this. I'll show you briefly. It's my Viajanche. It is in the Woolen Rabbits Chantilly base. It's a lace weight. This is the Midas Touch colorway. Isn't it pretty? It's so pretty, but man, it's taking forever. I'm still on my first ball. Look. And then of course the scale on my battery The battery on my scale went out. I need to know how much is left. The batteries are not here yet. It's gonna be like 4 grams less than I thought than it was when I weighed it last. Are we there yet? Are we there yet? But I did knit this much. That's where I was last week. So I knit this much. It really doesn't seem like much, does it? That said, if it were not for the podcast and me feeling like, not that anybody has ever pressured me to get something done. Don't get me wrong. Not at all. But, you know, you feel kind of like you need to keep it moving. If it weren't for that, I would be fine with how long it's taking. Because as I said last week, it's a great value. $48 for like hours and hours and hours of knitting. So it's not like I don't enjoy it. It's just... I have started to change my increase. It was wide enough to go around my shoulders. So now I have slowed my increase rate. And there you go. Okay, next thing. Okay, I showed you this last week. Wow. Maybe I should not try to put things into bags while I'm talking to you. Last week I showed you my, what's it called? It's on here? It's on here? I know. Coquille! Yes, that's what it is. My Coquille shawl. It is a free pattern from Knitty. I apologize. I'm trying to find out who did it. You got something to do. Knit for a second. Oh, is it not in here either? Really? Come on. Oh, foiled so many times. All right, I apologize. I don't know who it's by, but it's the Coquille. It's free Knitty pattern. Yeah, I got nothing. Sorry. I printed it out, but it's over there. I am knitting it out of hand spun. It is hand spun from Three Waters Farm. I believe this one is Falkland, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I'm pretty sure this one's Falkland. And here it is so far. I totally dig it. This is so fun to knit. It's very fun to knit. Technically, the shawl, pattern would have ended, let's see. Technically, this would be the middle of the pattern, as is written. But I'm going to keep going because it's not harder to make the little petals bigger. And I have so much yarn. And I'm so much lady. That makes sense. Just keep going. But there it is. Ah! I'm knitting it on US, I believe 3. Oh, that's right. This is the one that's weird. I'm knitting on 2.75 millimeters and US 9s. It's like between a 2 and a 3 and a 9. Because you can see the bigger, like see those wider stripes that are stockinette instead of garter? Those are knit on the bigger needles. It's so fun. You're either doing like a tulipy, petally thing, or you're switching your needles. It's awesome. It's totally enjoyable. So there's that. And then, excuse me, the last thing I have to show you is I bought a sock blank from Spun Right Round. She's an evil temptress, people. Her stuff's so good, the first hit is not even free. That's how good it is. This is her picnic colorway in a sock blanket. It's a 75-25 superwash merino nylon, 463 yards. It looks like this when you get it. Now, and then here it is so far. I have a cuff and a heel. Now, if I were not doing the podcast, I would have reskeined this yarn and soaked it and let the kink, because you know, it's been pre-knit and dyed in that blank. It's kinky. So I was concerned. I really wanted to leave the blank solid so that you could see it. But I was concerned that it might be too warbly to even be possible. So I did knit like this much and then wash it just to make sure it was kosher, and I think it's gonna be fine. So isn't it pretty? I love how the progression is working. Oh, so enjoyable. Really, don't even look at her shop. I'm not lying. I regularly have to go to her shop and put a bunch of stuff in my cart and then empty it out. Whatever it takes to make the day, people. Whatever it takes. Okay. So that's all. I guess I could do shenanigans. There's no shameless self-promotion. The next shop update will be, this is the Friday the 13th. Ooh, but it'll be Friday the 20th. Will be the next shop update. And it may have an under the sea theme. Just saying. Not like the Disney. I mean, like, literally. Things that live under water. So these are the shenanigans in which I proved to be a prude. I'm such a prude. It's ridiculous. I think I've talked about this before. So, like, you can leave. There's no judgment. Scurry on. Go watch your other podcasts that you're behind on. They have probably more important things to say. Okay, so there actually were no shenanigans this week. This is a shenanigan of the past, but it's the recent past, so whatever. I was talking about camping too much last week to talk about anything else. It's okay if you cried a little bit with my incessant droning. But this time I'm going to tell you about, then we went to the pool on Sunday, like our local pool. I'm so torn. So we go to our pool. Our pool is like, it's like a block away. It's maybe 2. Okay, it's 2 blocks away. It's very close. It is it's a city pool. It's like in an urban area. I mean, there's no like skyscrapers, but we're like throw a rock and you're in the city kind of thing. So it's still a city park. And it has like, it's a lovely pool. It has like a splash park. It has a few small slides, like the 2B kind. It's great. It's so crowded though sometimes. Oh my gosh. It wasn't even like that hot when we went, but it was only the second weekend it was open. It was crowded. We had to wait like a half an hour just to get in. Really? Whatever. People are not efficient. Kind of makes me look crazy. We've talked about it. Anyway. So we're at the pool. And like, I go in the pools, but really it's just for the child to like run through the water. And like, then I'll go in the pool and throw some things for her to dive to get. And like, but there's not enough room to actually be swimming per se. Because there's just so many people in there. So you're just kind of hanging out, right, basically, without an alcoholic beverage. Oh my gosh, that would be so nice, though. Anywho. So she's like taking these long periods where she's just like going and sliding like a crazy manic person. She just goes down the slide and gets back up on the line and goes down the slide. So like gives me like these grand opportunities for people watching. By the way, no, it doesn't look weird, but this finger might look a little strange too. I had a Band-Aid on it, and when I took the Band-Aid off, it was completely like the whites of the North white. And I mean that's a Game of Thrones reference, not like a cracker reference. It was so weird. I've never had that happen before. I took the Band-Aid off and my whole finger was weird. Anyway, so it gives me all this time for observation though at the pool. And let me just discuss, I'm so torn because I'm so happy that so many people are totally okay with their bodies. Yay. Like that is what I take away from it. But then I'm also just like, oh my gosh, could you all stop being so naked? What's wrong with me? Why am I like a prude so hardcore? It's not, okay, like the other day we went to Steak and Shake and I wore flip-flops and I was a little bit concerned about wearing flip-flops into a restaurant. I don't know why, it just struck me that moment. I was like, this is really probably not appropriate. I was like, no, I'm just gonna wear this. Okay, everyone wears flip-flops. And then somebody came into the restaurant wearing a bikini top, and I mean like a teeny bikini top, like the triangle kind. And I was just like, is this what it is? Am I now old? I think I am. I am so like, it's embarrassing. But I did tell my husband, I was like, as I was struck by how nude everybody was, I feel like I would even be less freaked out. I would not that freaked out, because that really implies that I was like, oh, and it was not like that at all. I was just like, look at all these naked people up in here. So much naked. Like at least, and I feel like this is an underestimate, at least 50% of the people at that pool, of the women, excuse me, let me clarify. At least 50% of the women at the pool were wearing bikinis. At least 50%. That's when there's like a lot of people and half of them are wearing I don't know, whatever. Half of them, they were really not equal representation of male and female, but whatever. When a large proportion of them are wearing bikinis, it is a lot of people. A lot. Everybody was so naked. I told my husband, I was like, I feel like I would actually be less distracted if people were just straight up naked. Is that weird? Am I lying to myself? Am I trying to hold on to like my hippiness? Being like, no, really, it's okay. We're just all naked. It's just this conformity to like this. I think I would still be more okay with it. I am not even lying. I totally think I would be more okay with it if they were just straight up naked. I would. It is like how close can you get to being naked that I find distracting. Is that weird? That is so weird of me. I know, I can't help it. I don't know. But we did have a grand old time. We both got sunburns. Toba's actually never had a sunburn. So while I felt really guilty for having her have a sunburn, I was also like, go me for making it 7 years without getting that kid getting a sunburn. She does have way better coloring than I do. I was like all proud of myself because I finally broke it down and bought the spray-on suntan lotion, sunblock stuff. So I never buy it because it's so expensive. But I did buy it because I can't ever get like back here. It still didn't work. Still got sunburned. And then, what is this about? There was full on some lifeguard dude. He was like the head of the lifeguards, who came out and suggested that everybody needed to take a shower before they got in the pool to make sure they rinsed off all sunblock. I guess you could have like copious amounts where it's like literally white on your skin. But I was really like, dude, I'm not rinsing any of this off because I need every microscopic particle of sun protection I can get. Right? I don't know. Is that wrong? If you're a lifeguard and you know better, tell me. But it just seems like that's like counterintuitive. But I guess they really probably did mean that people had like, but there was nobody with copious amounts of sunblock on. I don't know. I shouldn't even put this out there because I sound like a total crazy person. Oh wait, that happens every show. Anyway, I guess I should stop talking now. Or maybe 10 minutes ago. Whatever. I'll totally see you next time. Bye.